So I'm just going to go and do sort of a half presentation, half sort of live demo kind of going through a couple things that I've sort of figured out as far as smart social media automation. So using a couple different tools to be able to go and automate your social media process. Now, first question, I think a lot of people, isn't social media automation bad? I know that gets, a lot of people will go and say that. The idea here is to go and actually automate with some, like actual thought as to what you're filtering, or filter what you are actually putting out there, as opposed to just automating a process and going and doing that. So trying to go and put some logic behind it. So the automation I'm talking about here is sort of it's a problem that I encounter personally. So I use Twitter's integration with Facebook. So you could go and post your tweets to Facebook with that, and it would just go carte blanche, go and put whatever was there. I think there was a couple different things as far as filtering, like removing at mentions, or like not putting stuff that's like direct mentions to people, but really it was rigid and there wasn't much you can go and do with it. So what I sort of set out to do was to go and find ways of going making it so that I could go and publish to Facebook without bringing a lot of the cruft that comes with Twitter. Twitter has at mention, or the at signs for users. There's hashtags. There's a lot of syntax on Twitter that isn't really present on Facebook, or doesn't make a lot of sense when you go and present it to a user on Facebook. And the goal is you want to go and make it so that a Facebook user isn't going seeing something and being confused by, like, oh, well, what is this at mention, or like who's at so-and-so, when it has no context to them on Facebook. And sort of the goal I set out was to go and cut down on the noise and make it so that it was more signal. So I personally go and I share a lot of links. I go and, I want stuff that I want people to see, but I also didn't want it to go and cross up with what Facebook users expect when a native Facebook user, someone who's using Facebook all the time, shares something. I wanted to essentially present the same type of experience from my Twitter feed without actually having to manage my Facebook feed. So what I found was there was a tool called Twools, and what this served to solve was Twitter back in 2012 discontinued RSS feeds. So you could not go and get an RSS feed of all your tweets and do something with it anymore. So there's tools like If This Then That. It used to be you'd be able to go and use RSS and be able to go and do things with your Twitter feed. That was no longer possible. So now there's this intermediary here, which is called Twools. It's available as a WordPress plugin and as a standalone PHP app. So if you have your own web server, you can go and run this app and be able to go and sort of take a look at things. So I'm just going to go and hop over to my browser here, and so
what browser is that?
That would be Aurora.
What is that?
So basically with Twools, it allows you to create your own RSS feed from data coming in from Twitter. So I've created what's called a recipe here. So I kind of made this so I didn't have to rely on the internet, because you never know, the internet's kind of spotty at times when it comes to live demos. So I tried to err on the side of not having to rely on it. So in this instance here, I've created a recipe here that's based on my Twitter account. So what it's doing, it's pulling in my user timeline for my username, and then it's pulling in 30 entries. And then here it allows filters. So in this first instance, actually, I'm going to go jump over to this one. So in this recipe here, what I'm doing is just filtering for HTTP://. So you're basically looking what a link is. So I want to go and take out of my Twitter feed all the posts that have links. And then I also have, so I don't want it to go and pull in things that are essentially noise from Twitter. So, you know, if I use Instagram, if I use Buffer, if I use if this then that, or any number of third-party apps that go and pull in Twitter that you post to Twitter from, I don't want them pulling in that data and then posting to Facebook. That's the noise that you don't want coming in. You want, if you do want to go and share using those apps, you want to go and share natively to Facebook instead of, because what happens when you do pull something like that in, it'll go and post a link on Facebook to the tweet that you sent that'll then go and show them the media what thing. So you're creating extra steps for a Facebook user. So in this instance here, the recipe, I want to exclude retweets, so I don't want what other people are saying pulling into what I'm sharing. And then pretty much, so I want it to go and in the RSS feed link to the first URL contained in the tweet. So that makes it so that it's going to go and pull in that particular link into this. So then the next step is basically. So once I'm done with Twools, I'll go and generate feed, and it'll spit out something like this. So in this instance here, I've gone basically filtered. These are all the things that I went and shared in the last couple days. So it's pulling out and figuring out what particular links are there.